Welcome to Sheet Director. We're excited to introduce our innovative Google Workspace add-on. Simplify data exchange between apps with Sheet Director, query data, post info from Sheets to apps, and keep everything in sync. In this video, we will see how Sheet Director can help you to automate the integration between Google Sheets and Stripe. Let's launch Sheet Director and choose Stripe from the available list of applications. Now we need to authorize the application. Here we have to authorize the Stripe application by providing an API key. For that, I will create a new connection here and provide the API key. And then click on the Connect to Stripe button. Now your authentication is completed successfully. I will name the service as Stripe Query Service. I'll then choose the service named Query, which gets the data of the selected object from Stripe. I'll choose the payment intents object, and then select the required fields from the fields list. Additionally, I'll also set the max results to 25, limiting the Stripe data to 25. For the destination settings, I'll select the Query Stripe Data Sheet tab to present all the values from the Stripe. By default, it begins from cell A1. Also, we have the option to create a new sheet by clicking on the plus icon. Turn on or off the Include Header and Clear Sheet before getting the Stripe data. I will proceed to execute by clicking on the Execute button. Upon successful execution, we can see that the selected fields from the list are effectively brought from the Stripe and seamlessly presented within the selected sheet. Now, let's look at how to create data in Stripe from Google Sheets. Now, let's make another service and name the Stripe Post service for creating the data from the sheet. I will choose the Post service. Then I will select the payment intents object from the list. At this point, I have the choice to use an existing template or set up the process manually. For now, I'll opt for the template. Applying the template will automatically populate sample data to the spreadsheet, and it will establish automatic mapping using the template. This mapping guides us on where to place the resulting information in the status and result columns. In the sheet, you'll notice columns labeled Status and Result. These fields will provide you with the status of the posted records. If these fields are not there, these can be easily created by clicking on the plus button or choosing from the column drop-down. The mapping aligns the fields between the sheet and the Stripe. We can manually map by using the column drop-down. To create a new mapping, you can simply click on the plus icon. Deleting a field mapping is as easy as clicking the delete icon above each mapped field, except for mandatory fields. Feel free to use this sample template data and make any necessary updates. Now, I will proceed to execute by clicking on the Execute button. Initially, the status in the status column will indicate Ready to Post. Upon execution, the Execution Control panel will appear and tell us how many records are ready to post in the Stripe. At this point, we have two options, Post Now and Close. I will click on Post Now, which will create the payment intents in Stripe. After successful execution, each record will be updated individually in the status and result columns. And we can see all the posted records in Stripe. Stripe processes amounts in cents, but displays them in dollars. For example, 1,000 in the sheet is treated as $10 in Stripe. Let's prepare a new service named Stripe Sync Service. This synchronizes the data between Google Sheets and Stripe. I'll choose Synchronize as a service type. The Synchronize service allows users to automatically synchronize the data between Google Sheets and Stripe. I'll choose the Payment Intents object from the drop-down, and then select the necessary fields from the provided fields list. To ensure efficiency, I'll set the max results to 25, restricting to only 25 Stripe payment intents data. The synchronization process requires the synchronized keys to match rows in Google Sheets with corresponding data in Stripe. You must select the synchronized keys in the fields list. It is essential to note that these keys are mandatory for the synchronization to occur. When there is a conflict between different data in Google Sheets and Stripe for the same data, either side needs to be overwritten to maintain synchronization. You can opt for either Stripe Wins or Google Sheet Wins to choose which data to keep. In the Stripe Wins scenario, the most recent data from Stripe will overwrite and update the corresponding data in Google Sheets. On the other hand, in the Google Sheet Wins, the most recent data from Google Sheets will overwrite and update the corresponding data in Stripe. First, let me choose Google Sheet Wins. Regarding the synchronization sheet, I will opt for the Sync Stripe Data Sheet tab. And by default, it will begin from cell A1. After configuring the service, let us execute by clicking on the Execute button. The execution control panel will appear. If no records are found in the Google Sheets to synchronize, then the sheet director will get the Stripe data for us. A prompt will appear, posing the question, "Your Google Sheet seems to be empty. Do you want to get the records from Stripe first?" At this point, two options will be presented, Get Now or Close. You have to select the Get Now option, which will fetch the data from Stripe. As mapping is supported at Sync Service, mapping aligns the fields between the synchronization sheet and the Stripe. So now it is asking for intelligent mapping. For now, I will choose Yes, so that fields will be mapped automatically. We can manually map by using the column drop-down. To create a new mapping, you can simply click on the plus icon and select Field. If you already have Stripe data in Google Sheets, then you need to select or establish columns to display synchronization status and results. By clicking the plus symbol, I will add the status and result columns to the sheet and make any necessary updates to update the data. For some of the data, I will update the amount and description values. You can see the current payment intents amount and description value in Stripe. Subsequently, I will click the Execute button. Upon successful execution, the execution control panel will reappear with synchronization details. Number of new records found in Stripe. Total records that are ready to synchronize from the Google Sheet. How many records will be updated in the Stripe from the total records? Additionally, I will be asked, "Are you okay to synchronize?" This query is accompanied by two buttons, Sync Now and Close. I will opt for the Sync Now button. Throughout the execution process, each record will be updated individually within the Stripe. Upon successful update, the status column in Google Sheets will depict the status of the data. Newly updated data will be marked as synced successfully, while pre-existing data will be indicated as already synchronized. We can see the updated data on the Stripe. As we mentioned earlier, Stripe processes amounts in cents, but displays them in dollars. Now, let me choose Stripe Wins. With the Stripe Wins option, recent data of Stripe will be updated in Google Sheets. I will clear both the status and result column values to get new updates of records. To test this, I will change the amount and description value of one of the Stripe records here. Now it should update the recent value from the stripe. Regarding the synchronization sheet, I will keep the same Sync Stripe Data Sheet tab, and by default, it will begin from cell A1. After configuring the settings, let us execute by clicking on the Execute button. After executing, the execution control panel will appear and show all the information regarding the update. Subsequently, I will click on the Sync Now button to continue the synchronization. Throughout the successful execution process, each record will be updated individually. We can notice that the value on Google Sheets is replaced by the recent values from Stripe irrespective of the update made on the Google Sheets. Also, the new data will be fetched from Stripe if we added new data to Stripe. Until this point, we observed the synchronization of data originating from cell A1. Now, let's modify the cell value to be 5. Select another empty sheet for testing and proceed with the synchronization process. If no records are found in the Google Sheets to synchronize, then the sheet director will get the Stripe data for us. I will click the Get Now button to get the Stripe data. If you already have Stripe data in Google Sheets, then you need to establish the status and result column for synchronization. Then proceed with the execution. Upon successful execution, the execution control panel will reappear with the synchronization details. I will click on the Sync Now button to continue the synchronization. After successful synchronization, you can see the status of each record individually in the Google Sheets. In this way, you can synchronize data from any part of your Google Sheets. Hence, utilizing Sheet Director makes it easy to query Stripe information and display it in Google Sheets. Creating new data from Google Sheets, and finally keeping the information synchronized between the Google Sheets and Stripe. With Sheet Director, you effortlessly harness the magic of Stripe. Seamlessly query, display, and transform your Stripe data right within Google Sheets. Experience the future of organization and data synergy with the Sheet Director. Thanks for watching the video.